Welcome back to MFO, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. I did an episode on Friday regarding Tai Au and how he was disqualified from the EQ on Okeechobee over the weekend. Well, as it turned out, we got news that another angler was disqualified due to a polygraph. That angler, however, chose to fish the event, and he is going to appeal his disqualification. We're going to talk about both of these situations. We're going to talk about what's going on with bass and all of these DQs over the entire season, both on the opens and in the elites. What needs to be done about this? And I've got a solution that I've said before. I'm gonna bring it out again because I'm gonna kind of keep screaming here until somebody maybe listens to it. We'll be back right after this, guys. Welcome back to Mark Fisher Outdoors, everybody. I'm Mark Fisher. So yes, another angler, and to be honest, I don't know that a lot has been talked about this other angler. I don't know that this has been made public yet in terms of who it is. But this is an angler who's had issues with polygraph before, and so he's going to appeal it. He actually, interestingly, he fished in the event. The polygraph came out, or the issue came out. He said, I'm going to appeal this. So he continued to fish. And what they did is on the final day of the EQ on Okeechobee, they fished with 11 anglers because this angler was in the top 10. And so if his appeal does not, work and he loses his appeal, they wanted that 11th angler to be able to have a ranking within the top 10. So they allowed 11 anglers to fish on that final day. So we've got Tai, who explained his situation in several Facebook posts. And we've got this other angler who has, I believe, remained nameless, but has not put anything out yet. But we're aware has had other issues in the past regarding polygraphs. And again, I'm not judging that angler. I'm not judging Tai. I don't know what's the truth and what's not the truth. That's not where I'm at. Where I'm at in terms of this video and in terms of talking about this is I'm making some assumptions here, and I want you to follow my assumptions. If I'm assuming correctly that these polygraph tests are being given randomly, we're going to randomly pick guys, boat numbers, whatever it is, and we're going to do polygraphs. Isn't it really amazing that randomly so many guys are coming up negative on a polygraph? That number seems skewed as to if we are randomly picking guys to do a polygraph, this number of people are coming up as not being able to pass a polygraph, not being truthful within that polygraph. When it comes to, did you get information that would gain a competitive advantage? I think now remember, that's an assumption. For all we know, they're saying it's random, and the reality is they've got inside information about, hey, we want to be checking on this guy because we're hearing rumors, we're hearing talk, we're getting complaints that this is going on, so we're going to check on that guy. And that's terrific. If that's what they're doing, I think that's a good stance. And the number of people that are being caught through the polygraphs, if they're doing it that way, is a good thing. They are actually doing a good job, if that's the case. But I don't think it is. But if it's the case, that's what they're doing. But if that's the case, why aren't they saying, listen, the reason that we're polygraphing these particular people in certain circumstances is because we're hearing information? They will say, I'm guessing, that, well, we don't want to give it away. We don't want to betray. We want to keep getting information. And for us to keep getting information, we need to kind of be secretive about that. I don't know if I agree with that. Let's let people know. If the rumors start coming into Bass, all of a sudden, those people who there's rumors about are getting polygraphed and stuff. I think that would be a good idea to make the field be aware of that and that's what's going on. My opinion, I'm curious as to what you think. But there's going to be more that I'm going to be curious about. So start making notes. So I think they should, because to be honest, it gives a bad look. If we're randomly testing, and we truly are randomly testing, and this number of people are getting disqualified, that means that the only logical explanation there is that there's a lot of cheaters, that we're randomly picking somebody, and almost every tournament, somebody's getting DQ'd out of a random selection. That's crazy. And it's giving the sport and the anglers a bad name. Now, it might be rightfully so. What's your opinion on that one? But I'm getting to the part that I want to really explore, and that is, in my opinion, the information rule needs to be adjusted, whether it's a time frame like, hey, you can't get information within 30 days. I mean, the idea that this is going on. And before we talk about the time frame being adjusted, let's also talk about the polygraph test in and of itself. And I'm not going to get into, hey, it's not used in court or whatever, but I am going to describe a situation or two situations where you can see how this would go. On one hand, I've got a guy, I'm going to say a guy like me, where I start in my head running through scenarios. So a guy said something at the bait shop. I was walking by and I happened to hear it. And as soon as I heard him talking, I got out of there because I didn't want to hear it, and I didn't want to be guilty of getting information. So as soon as I knew what he was saying, oh my God, he's talking about a lake that I'm going to, I moved away. Whereas another angler B, here's this guy talking, continues to look at his spinner baits over here and then listening, but he's going, hey, I'm going to listen to what he's saying because I never solicited that information. And this is totally legal for me to do. Now we both get polygraphed. Me, I ran from that guy, but I'm so nervous and like, oh my God, am I doing the right thing? That when I get asked the question, I go, no, I didn't. But I'm in my head thinking, I heard that guy, start to talk. I didn't really get any information and I ran and I didn't ask for it, but maybe that got me and I pinged the polygraph. Meanwhile, the second guy, who literally sat there and listened to the whole thing, but in his head is comfortable with saying, I never asked for this, so I'm perfectly legal, and I don't feel guilty about it at all because I didn't break any rules, is going to sail right through the polygraph. The point being that a polygraph is going to test your reaction to what happened. Not what happened, it's going to test your reaction to what happened. And different people have different reactions to what happened. One guy literally sat and listened to it, but in his mind was justified in saying, I can do this because I didn't solicit it. Meanwhile, I'm going, I got to stay away from any information. I got to run as fast as I can, but I'm guilty because I heard two sentences or two words that made me understand that he was talking about it. And oh my God, I did it. And does that have an impact on the polygraph? I don't know. I'm not a polygraph examiner, but I'm afraid that could be what we're testing with these polygraphs from the information I'm aware of. So that's the first concern that I have. The second, and this is going into what I was about to say, which is if the information is more, if the rule itself is more condensed, then it makes it easier to follow. Okay, so we can only get information up until 30 days before the tournament. it reduces the number of potential issues. But I also think, and this is where I'm going to get on my soapbox again, guys, is that instead of the polygraph being the end all be all, you failed the polygraph, therefore you're DQ'd. I truly believe that a tournament organization such as Bass or MLF should have an investigative unit. A couple of guys who are specifically hired to take rumors from people, hey, I'm calling in because I heard that this happened. Okay, we're going to set you up with an investigator and take your story. And those investigators can put in the time, and their sole job at Bass or at MLF is to investigate the goings-on of anglers that there might be some concerns about. Whether that's being out on the water in unmarked boats and following certain anglers around and checking out what they're doing, or doing investigative, tasks related to making phone calls, talking to people, seeing whether things happen. I just feel like I equate this to kind of like the internal affairs division of the police. And granted, I don't know that it's a job that a lot of people would want to have, but on the same token, if anglers knew that there were people who were investigating complaints, rumors of things like that, I think that it would give some focus to, hey, if there's smoke here, let's see if there's really fire there. I think that would be, something to be aware of, or something that anglers would be aware of, and it might be leery of if they wanted to continue to cheat, knowing that, hey, there could be that boat out there, could just be a pleasure boat, but it could also be, one of the internal affair guys out there watching. I'm just curious. I know it wouldn't be extremely efficient. I don't think that it has to be efficient in terms of catching somebody and disqualifying them. I think it would be efficient in terms of knowing that there was actually people whose job it was to investigate and check to determine whether guys are being honest and following the rules within the tournaments. I'm curious as to what your thoughts are. Maybe I'm being naive with all this, but that's an area that I think, to my knowledge, no tournament organization has ever done that specifically. And this has been an issue for a long, long time. So that's my 2 cents on this. Guys, I'd love to hear your opinion on all of these issues. We'll see how things shake out with this thus far unnamed second angler that was DQ'd and will be appealing, and we'll keep you informed on that as it comes out. Guys, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you again tomorrow on another episode of Mark Fisher Outdoors. Take care.